at subtraction on number line. Let's say that you want to subtract 6 from 11. So it is 11 from which you want to subtract 6. So the first thing we need to do is we need to locate 11. Where is 11? So this is 11. Now we want to subtract a number from 11. So which side we will move? Now we had learned before that greater numbers are present on the right hand side. So basically when we are adding, we will move on the right hand side, because when we are adding something to a number, we are actually increasing the value of the number. Let's say if I add 2 to 11, that means we are increasing the value of the number. So we will move to the right hand side. So we will make the jumps on the right hand side. That is why you saw that during addition we jumped on the right hand side. Now in this case we are subtracting something, we are reducing something from 11. So basically we are going towards a smaller number. So it is very obvious that since we are subtracting 6 from 11, so the result is going to be something which is lesser than 11, because we are reducing 6 from 11. So this time we will move towards the left hand side. And how many jumps we will make? 6 jumps. So let's make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 6 jumps from 11, and where do we reach? We reach at 5. So this shows that 11 minus 6 would be 5. So basically while we add or subtract on a number line, we just need to remember a very simple concept, that first you locate a number to which you want to add or from which you want to subtract. If you want to add something, jump towards the right. If you want to subtract something, jump towards the left. Simple? Yeah. So one simple way to remember this is GR. So you want greater number, move towards right. You want smaller number, move towards left. So greater and smaller, greater, the word greater, GR, EATER. So greater and smaller. So you want greater number, move towards right. You want smaller number, move towards left. Now how about multiplication on number line? How do we multiply on a number line? This is also going to be very interesting. So let's say you want to multiply 2 and 5. 2 into 5 would be how much? So first thing is we want to multiply 2. What does this mean? 2 into 5 means what? It means that basically 2 is added 5 times. So 2 into 5 is just another way of writing 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Now writing this is tedious and complicated. So to write it in a simpler way, we write it like this. Let's see if we write 10 into 2. What does that mean? That this basically means 10 plus 10. That means we are adding 10 2 times. Now when I say 2 into 5, that means we are adding 2 5 times. So that is the meaning of it. So for this, which point do we want to locate? We do not want to locate any point. It just says that 2 needs to be added for 5 times. So you can start from anywhere. So let us start from 0. So let's say we will start from 0. Now 2 needs to be added 5 times. So the first time when you add 2, so to what will you add 2? You will add to 0, right? Because initially nothing is given. So the first time you add 2, you will add it to 0. Now you are adding something, so you will move towards the right. So 1, 2. So this is the first time you added 2. So basically this is your one jump. In one way, you can say that. So this is the one time that you have added 2. How many times you want to add 2? 5 times. So let's add it second time. So you reach at 4. Let's add it third time. You reach at 6. Fourth time, you reach at 8. Fifth time. So where do you reach? You reach at 10. So if you add 2 for 5 times, then you will reach at 10, which proves that 2 into 5 is 10. So basically what we did here is, now whenever we are multiplying two things, we are basically trying to say that the first letter is being added these many times. So 2 is added 5 times. So the first 2 that you add, you have to add that from 0, because initially you had nothing. So the first time you added a 2, you again added another 2, you again added another 2. So every time you are saying a 2, that 2 would correspond to 2 jumps. So that is why you see you are jumping from 2 to 4. So you are actually taking 2 jumps. So similarly here you are actually taking 2 jumps, because you are adding 2 at one time. So we located 0, then we took 5 times jumps, and each jump correspond to a 2. And we reached at 10, which proved that 2 into 5 is equal to 10. So this is how we can multiply on a number line. So we saw that how we add, subtract, multiply whole numbers on a number line. Let us now take another example of multiplication, because multiplication might sound confusing to a lot of you. So let's say now we want to multiply 4 into 3. Now what is the meaning of 4 into 3? This basically means that 4 is added 3 times. So this actually means 4 plus 4 plus 4. So that means first we will have to add 4 3 times. So we will start from 0. This is 0. So from here we add 4. That means we directly go to 4 here. Now this is just one time that we added 4. Now we have to add like this 4 how many times? 3 times. Let's add 4 second time. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically we will reach here. So 4 is added 2 times. Now the third time is left. Again 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is now added for 3 times. And where have we reached? We have reached 12. So this shows that 4 into 3 is 12. So here also we made 3 times jump, and each jump was for 4. Have studied so far, let us quickly look at some of the questions. Question number 1. Write the successor of 2440701. Now what was that simple tip that we learned? That whenever we have to find successor, we just need to add 1 to that number. So in the first case, this is the number 2440701. So we will add 1 to this number. So what do we get? We get 2440702. So this is the successor. Let us look at the next number, which is 10999999. So let's add 1 to it. So when you add 1, so this is what you get. So this would be the successor. So 11 lakh would be the successor of this number. Question number 2. What is the predecessor of 10,000? So in order to find predecessor, all that we need to do is we need to subtract 1. So 9,999 would be the predecessor. Let's look at the second number, which is 208090. So here also you'll subtract 1. So the number that was given was 2,08,090. So when you subtract 1, you get 2,08,089. So this would be the predecessor. Question number 3. Which of the following statements are true and which are false? 0 is the smallest natural number. So this is absolutely false, because 0 is not at all a natural number. The smallest natural number is 1 and 0 is a whole number. 400 is the predecessor of 399. That is also false, because 400 is the successor of 399. because 400 comes after 399. In fact, we can say that 399 is the predecessor of 400 because 399 comes before 400. 0 is the smallest whole number. Yes, that is absolutely true. 600 is the successor of 599. That is also true because if you add 1 to 599, you get 600. All natural numbers are whole numbers. That is also true because what are whole numbers? Whole numbers are all natural numbers plus 0. So that would mean that you pick up any natural number. That natural number is going to be a whole number. So all natural numbers are whole numbers, but all whole numbers are not natural number because 0 is a whole number but 0 is not a natural number. All whole numbers are natural numbers. False. Why false? Because 0, which is a whole number but not a natural number. The predecessor of a two-digit number is never a single-digit number. This is also absolutely false. Let us look at the example of 10. What would be the predecessor of 10? You subtract 1 from 10 and you would get it as 9. So the predecessor of a two-digit number can be a single-digit number. So this is false. 1 is the smallest whole number. False, because 1 is not a whole number. It is a natural number. The natural number 1 has no predecessor. Of course it has, because if you subtract 1 from 1, what do you get? You get 0. So 0 is the predecessor of 1. The whole number 1 has no predecessor. What do you say about this? Is 1 a whole number at all? 1 is not a whole number. 1 has a predecessor, that is 0. But 1 is not a whole number, therefore it is false. The whole number 13 lies between 11 and 12. That is again false, because when you add 1 to 11, you get 12. When you add 1 to 12, you get 13. So basically on the number line, 12 lies between 11 and 13. So this is false. The whole number 0 has no predecessor. So what would you say about this? 0. Is there any predecessor of 0? Now the whole number 0 doesn't have a whole number predecessor. That's because before 0, what do you have? Before 0, we have the negative numbers. So before 0, all that is present is -1. So you really do not have a whole number predecessor of 0. The successor of a two-digit number is always a two-digit number. That is also not really true, because if you take example of 99, what is the successor of 99? If you add 1 to 99, what do you get? You get 100. So the successor of a two-digit number can be a three-digit number. Question number 4. In each of the following pairs of numbers, state which whole number is on the left of the other number on the number line. Also write them with the appropriate sign greater than or less than between them. So let us look at the first pair of number, 370 and 307. So which one is greater? So of course 370 is greater than 307. Right? Now, where will they lie on the number line? So we know that the greater numbers lie towards the right. So which is a greater number? 370. So let's say if 370 lies somewhere here, so 307 being a smaller number would lie towards its left. So 307 would lie somewhere here. So if we assume that we have 0 somewhere here, so 307 would lie to the left of 370. Let's look at the next one, which is 98,765 and 56,789. So which will be greater, 56,000 or 98,000? Of course 98,000 would be greater than 56,000. So when you place them on the number line, 98,000 would be on the right hand side of 56,000. So 56,000 would be on the left hand side of 98,000 on the number line, because always remember that as you go towards right, you go towards greater numbers. As you go towards left, you go towards the smaller numbers. So a smaller number will always lie on the left of the greater number. Question number 5. Write the three whole numbers occurring just before 10001, which is nothing but 10,001. So this is the number that is given. So we have to find out the number which occurs just before this. So let us subtract 1. So when you subtract 1, you get 10,000. So 10,000 will lie just before 10,001. So let's say this is 10,001. So 10,000 will lie just before 10,000. 10,000 will lie just before 10,001. Now what will lie before 10,000? So for that you will have to again subtract 1. So this is 9, this is 9, this is 9, this is 9. So just before 10,000 would be 9,999. What would be just before 9,999? Again subtract 1. So this would be 9,998. So you would have 9,998. So when you look at the number line, so these would be the three numbers which lie just before 10,001. That is 9,998, 9,999 and 10,000. So these are the three immediates of whole numbers. So the main properties that we would discuss are closure, commutative, associative and distributive. So these are the four important properties of all whole numbers. So let us start with closure property. Now what comes to your mind with the word closure? Closure is something from closed. It's something associated with closed. Now let's see what's closed in closure property. Now even before we discuss about this property, let us just try to add some whole numbers and observe the results. So let's say we take 5, we add 9 to 5. What do we get? We get 14. We take another whole number 0. We add 1002 to 0. What do we get? 1002. We take a whole number 510 and add to it 69,341 and we get 69,851. Let's say you take a whole number 67, add 0 to it, you get 67. You add 0 and 1, you get 1. You add 0 plus 0, you get 0. So you see, we have taken variety of whole numbers starting from 0, 1, bigger numbers, and whenever we added them, what did we observe? That the result that we obtained is also a whole number, whether it is 14 or it is 1002 or it is 69,002 or it is 67, 1 or 0. All of them are also whole numbers. So the conclusion was that whole numbers are closed under addition. What do we mean by closed? Closed means, let's say if whole number, all the whole numbers form a community. So when they get added up, they stay within their community. So they basically are closed within their community. So if this is the community of whole numbers, so when they are added amongst themselves, they still are whole numbers. So they are still closed within their community. So that is what is meant by closure property. Now this closure property is true for addition, because when we add whole numbers, we get whole numbers. Now we will try to see whether this closure property holds true for subtraction, multiplication and division as well or not. So let us try to subtract whole numbers and see. Now let's say we take 16, subtract 9 from it. We get 7, which is a whole number. 1 minus 0 is 1, which is again a whole number. 0 minus 0 is equal to 0, which is again a whole number. So do you think that closure property is true for subtraction as well? You might think yes, but let me give you some more examples before you reach to conclusion. 25 minus 15 is 10, which is a whole number. What about 15 minus 25? If I ask you to subtract a bigger number from a smaller number, so it is the same scenario where you have only 15 rupees, but you want to buy something which costs 25 rupees, and therefore you borrow 10 rupees from the shopkeeper and then buy it. So what happens? Your net balance goes to negative. So basically 15 minus 25 is not 10 but minus 10. Do you think minus 10 is a whole number? No, this is not a whole number. Similarly, 8 minus 10, what it would be? It would again be minus 2. So whenever you are subtracting a bigger number from a smaller number, the result is always a negative number. And negative numbers do not fall under the category of whole numbers. Right? So negative numbers are not whole numbers. So then what do we conclude? We conclude that whole numbers are not closed under subtraction. So they are closed under addition, but they are not closed under subtraction. So during subtraction, the result can be whole number. The result can also be something other than whole numbers. Let's have a look at multiplication. So we will multiply some whole numbers. So 9 into 8 gives 72. 18 into 1 gives 18. Let's say 890 into 0. Anything multiplied by 0 gives 0. Do you know why? Because whenever we say that something is multiplied by something, we basically mean to say, let's say when we say 9 is multiplied by 8, that means 9 is added 8 times. That is the meaning of it. That we are actually adding 9 for how many times? For 8 times. That's the meaning of 9 into 8. Now when you say 890 into 0, what do you actually mean? That 890 is added 0 times. That means basically 890 is not at all added. Now when you have not added 890 at all, so what will be the result? The result will definitely be 0. So you multiply any number with 0, the result would always be 0. So in this case, again you observe that the result is always a whole number. So the conclusion here again is whole numbers are closed under multiplication. So whenever you multiply any two whole numbers, the result must be a whole number. So now we are left with the last operation, that is division. So for this also we will divide a few whole numbers. Let's say 8 divided by 5. What would the result be? 8 by 5. Think about it. So it is something like 8 by 5. Think about this. 16 divided by 8. What it would be? This would be 2 because 8 is a 16. 10 divided by 1. This would be 10. 10 divided by 0. Now when you multiply 0 to any number, it becomes 0. But when you divide 0 to any number, the result is not defined. So we actually cannot define the result. So the result here becomes not defined, which is not a whole number. In the first scenario, the result 8 by 5. This is a fraction. Do you think it is a whole number? This is not a whole number because 8 is not divisible by 5. So this is again not a whole number. Right? So when you divide 8 by 5, this is what you get. You can write it as 1, 3 by 5, which is again not a whole number. If you want, you can write it in decimals. So you can write it as 1.6, which is again not a whole number. So basically the result of division is not always a whole number. So whole numbers again are not closed under division. So out of addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, we see that addition and multiplication are closed, whereas division and subtraction are not closed. So the closure property holds true for addition and multiplication. Next property, that is commutative property. Now what is commutative? What does the word commutative means? It is derived from the word commute. Commute means to to exchange. Now, many a times you would have heard people saying that every day I commute from my home to my office. So commute is basically exchange. Exchange of place, maybe your place is exchanging from home to office, office to home. So commute could also be when you exchange any kind of information. So the word commute is related to exchange. Now here we will see what kind of exchange happens in commutative property. Now, can you guess something about the commutative property looking at the picture on the screen? On the screen, in the first picture, you see that the girl is sitting on the left and the guy is sitting on the right. What do you see in the next picture? Their positions are exchanged. Now, the guy is sitting on the left and the girl is sitting on the right. Right? So, they have just exchanged their positions. So, do you get some clue from this? So what it actually tells is, let us say if you add any two whole numbers, for example 18 and 6. So what is the result? The result is 24. Now if you exchange the position of these two whole numbers, that is, if instead of writing it as 18 plus 6, if you write it as 6 plus 18, what would be the result? The result would still remain the same. The result would still be 24. So this shows that 18 plus 6 is actually equal to 6 plus 18. So when you add two whole numbers, even if you change the positions or if you interchange the position of the two whole numbers, the result still remains the same. So this is one example. Let us take another example. So in this example, let us take 0 as one of the numbers. So let's say 22 plus 0 is 22. Now let's just change the positions. So 0 plus 22, the result again is 22. So therefore we see that 22 plus 0 is equal to 0 plus 22. So from these two examples, what we observe is, if A and B are two whole numbers, then A plus B is always equal to B plus A. So this is the commutative property of addition. So we say that addition is commutative in whole numbers. Why addition is commutative? Because even if you exchange the positions of the whole numbers, the result still remains the same. So A plus B is equal to B plus A. This proves that addition is commutative in whole numbers. What about subtraction, division, multiplication? So let us quickly look at the commutative property of all other operations. So let us start with subtraction. So what do you think? Subtraction will be commutative or not? So do you really think that subtraction is not commutative? Okay, let's try. Let's consider 18 minus 6. So what do we get? We get 12. Now as we interchange the position of the digits, it becomes 6 minus 18. And what is the result? It is minus 12. So this shows that A minus B is not equal to B minus A. So therefore subtraction is not commutative. So then let's talk about multiplication. Now in multiplication is commutative. Let's take examples. 18 into 6 is 108. Now when we interchange the positions, it becomes 6 into 18, which is still 108. Let's take another example. Let's say 5 into 0 is equal to 0. What about 0 into 5? That is also 0. So considering these two, we see that A into B is equal to B into E. And that is why we say that multiplication is commutative. What about division? Division is again not commutative. That is because when you divide 16 by 8, what do you get? You get 2. Now when you divide 8 by 16, what do you get? You get 1 by 2. So therefore you see that A divided by B is not equal to B divided by A. And therefore division is not commutative. If you want, we can take another example. So this is example number 1, and let's take another example. Let's say 0 divided by 1 is 0. But when you divide 1 by 0, it is not defined. So overall, we can say that division is not commutative. So as far as the commutative property is concerned, again addition is commutative and multiplication is commutative. Division and subtraction are not commutative.